introduce, otherwise known as Steptoe. I am the former Director of Policy Enforcement for Xbox Live, author of the book of Microsoft Life, and otherwise just a PAX attendee just like you. Which is pretty awesome. Because tonight we're going to get to have a great conversation with one of my favorite people in terms of the stories they have to tell, the role that they get to play, and that's Robert Khoo. It sounds like boo from up here, so you want to emphasize it. So let me tell you just super quickly how we're going to roll this tonight. Again, thank you for your patience. I know it took a long time to get everybody in, so thank you. I know it's a late show. We're going to roll with some questions for about 30, 35 minutes. Then literally, we are going to open it up to you guys. I'm going to ask Robert some questions that I've developed that are based off of questions that you guys have submitted and ones that I've written. And we want you guys to be able to ask him questions as well. So just to give you an overview of the way that the night's going to work, it's very casual. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Robert Khoo. Not to play music while he did this.
Who can pull it up on YouTube?
Oh, we have a broken clip. Already tonight, Robert has to deal with something. The poor guy. He can solve this problem. This is not one of the questions I was going to ask him. Hello. Can you hear me all right? So when I thought about doing this, I really was thinking about the questions probably on everyone's mind. Like the question that most people would think about like right off the top of their head. And I'm just going to go ahead and ask it in the most direct fashion. Seriously, how much money do you guys make? No, wait, don't pretend we're there. Like, just tell me how many zeros. Is it 30?
It's an incredible amount of money.
I see.
It's amazing. No,
I see.
We have good livings. We have fun. I mean, there's bread on the table.
I don't think anyone in the room is bothered by that.
No. Well, thank you.
So, to sort of probably cover a bit of old ground, but I think is relevant. One of my favorite stories is the story of how you came to be a part of the organization and how the whole history began, which I think is probably a good idea for probably a lot of people know, but maybe not. So
who has not heard the story?
So 15 people in a crowd of 1,000 need some bearing.
All right, so for these 15 people, I guess, what it came down to, I used to be a consultant for a boutique marketing firm, and in short, I've always been a gamer my whole life. I've loved games. I've just lived and breathed, and just everything about games spoke to me. And I knew growing up that that was what I wanted to do. But I went to business school. I was a business guy. I knew that. And one of the things that this consultancy had was it had a small portfolio of gaming clients that worked. What was it? It was in South Korea, actually, out in Seoul. And I remember what was going on at the time. Keep in mind, I was a penny arcade reader at the time, but I went over there, was working with some clients. They needed some marketing strategy stuff. Went back and I was like, oh, you know what? This company needs to market their game in the United States. I read this place called Penny Arcade. I'm pretty sure if it resonates with me, it must resonate with a lot of people. So I scheduled a lunch with Mike and Jerry. By the way, I know Mike and Jerry. Was Mike around here, by the way? Mike, Jerry, are you here? They're sleeping.
Thank God. I've got things to say about them
Okay,
later.
good. No, that actually frees me up quite a bit. I went and asked for a lunch with Mike and Jerry, and they completely blew me off. And it actually wasn't until I had specifically asked for Chinese food that they decided that this was their opportunity to take this lunch, which ultimately would change the fate of our entire lives, like everyone's lives that we are in contact with now. I mean, quite frankly, like, no one in this room would be here if this lunch did not happen. So I went ahead and had lunch with them, and I said, hey, you know what? This is the situation. We would love to work together. What do you think? And I would say within 5 minutes, I knew that they had no idea what they were doing.
Which in business parlance is like not a good plan.
Yeah, they were literally, when I had met them, they were each making about $24,000 a year. And you have to understand, like, I walked away from that meeting saying thank you very much, but I remember walking away just thinking, why the fuck aren't these guys millionaires? Like, it does not make any sense. Like, they are the most funny, talented people that I have ever been in contact with, and just online, and it blew my mind. So I sat on it for a while, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, I was 22 at the time. I was like, if I'm gonna make my move, I need to do it now. I mean, at some point in time, I'm gonna be in my, 40s, and, I would need to have a really steady job, and, not give up that job. You can do it? All right. And thought to myself, hey, I need to make this move now. And so I had a second meeting with them and said to them, hey, look, here is a business plan. I wrote them a 50-page business plan. I said, if you, whatever the outcome of this meeting is, I'm going to give you this business plan. It's yours to take, free. But if you give me the green light, I will quit my job and I will work for you for free for 2 months. And if I can pay for myself after 2 months, keep me. And if I can't, fire me. And that was 10 years ago starting. I know in July
It worked out okay.
In July will be 10 years. So, and that is the story of how this all happened.
So, so how much of that 50-page, do you think they really just kind of read it, or they went, look, this guy gave us 50. It's kind of heavy.
According to them, they said that, I think they skimmed through it. I mean, the problem is that they probably didn't understand it. And no, I'm not meaning that to be derogatory by any means. But they're not business guys, right? They're clearly not business guys. They've a history of horrible decisions when it comes to business.
What are some of those horrible decisions from your perspective as a smart business guy?
All right.
Folks, this may run long.
There was a time where they sold Penny Arcade. They did not know they sold it. They literally sold it, and the only reason that they got it back was because the rights reverted when the guy essentially skipped. Is someone here that's calling me? It's not appropriate. No, that's not a good time. I told you it happened. I'm sorry. The guy skipped town on tax evasion charges, so eventually the rights reverted back to Mike and Jerry.
So multiple bad decisions.
Yeah, and then there was...
Or by their side.
Exactly, and then there was the time where they signed up with a book publisher for a guy that took all their money and ran away to Alaska. And then we let...
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a list, all right? And ultimately, I'll be honest with you, a really poor decision in this line was trusting me. There is no reason why when a stranger comes in and gives you a business plan and says, hey, let me run your business, what are they fucking thinking? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it ended up okay, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they got lucky. And don't get me wrong, that's not saying they got lucky accept my offer.
It seems like there's a lot of success predicated on naivety, I guess.
Absolutely.
So my idea was around, like, if we think of Penny Arcade as being kind of like the Penny Arcade set of businesses, as being now kind of like Westeros in terms of like this sprawling enterprise. You have Child's Play, you have PA Report, you have all these different ventures that you have PATV, you have all these different things that you guys are doing. Walk us through some of those things and in just like a brief sense, sort of why you decided to go down that road amongst all those different things that you could do that are like based off this route of a webcomic.
All right, that's easy.
Damn.
So, I told you, you're not going to be able to stump me on anything. Like, I've got answers.
My job is not to stump you.
Because the problem is that, like, all of our decisions, we actually provide rational thought to them before we make them.
What?
I know, believe it or not.
Now keep in mind, I worked for Microsoft for a long time. That's a whole other world for me.
By the way, does everyone here know what Steptoe used to do? Wait, who does not know? Tell them.
Great, this is about me now. I tried so hard. Essentially, that my team for Xbox was in charge of trying to ban people who were bad on Xbox Live, and that's it. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. So why'd you leave?
You see how quickly it turns to me? How deftly he avoids my question about what are all the fingers you have in all the pies in the Penny Arcade Empire? Oh, Steptoe, let's talk about you for a few minutes.
I just thought it was a really interesting decision. I mean,
honestly, it was a great job and it was a great place to work for, but I wanted to go and do some things on my own, like write fiction and do some consulting, and it's all very boring. And meanwhile, why everyone's here?
All right.
What are all the things you guys are into?
Well, think about it this way. The people that read the comic, and keep in mind, I know, I'm well aware that there are many people that attend PAX at this point that do not read the comic. I run to a lot of people every year that don't understand what the PA and PAX stands for.
Actually, just out of curiosity, there's probably going to be more people here who read the comic than most audiences, but how many people don't know about the comic aspect of Penny Arcade? Not a single hand. Oh, one. And you threw the horns? Okay, two in the back.
All right.
So, yeah.
Drug here.
Bad samples.
All right.
They didn't get drugged here, dude. It's stood in line for you.
The people that read the comic, I mean, we know exactly who they are. They're a very narrow set of people. I mean, it's that old saying as far as a joke is, the smaller the potential audience for a joke, the funnier it is, right? I mean, because it's such inside baseball that it tickles a particular funny bone. And Penny Arcade obviously hits that. And that group of people essentially is a 24 to 32-year-old person generally speaking, don't get me wrong.
She doesn't want to offend anyone.
I do not want to offend anyone. But, and they not only think about games as far as like a hobby or something that's fun that they do on the weekend. I mean, like, gaming is very much part of their identity. Like, I know it is with me, and it was with me growing up, it was with me in college, it obviously is with me in my professional life. And that particular person is our audience. That is who we serve. And everything that we do, whether that's the comic, whether that's PATV, whether that's Child's Play, whether that's the scholarship, whether that is the PA Report, whether that's PAX, it all services that same person. And at the end of the day, all decisions, all branches of the business come down to, does this add value to that person's life? It's fine for us to make money on it. I mean, I'm sure...
You've already established you guys make a ton of money.
It's great to make a lot of money on it. But honestly, if we feel that we're providing value to that particular person's life, that group of people, then that is how our decisions are made.
Interesting. So if we think about all the things you guys are into as broadly, whether you intend it or not, some of the things you guys are into broadly an audience.
Yes.
Right. So maybe even beyond the concept of the quote, the age range gamer that you guys are thinking about. And that leads me to kind of my next question, which it's going to be a little controversial. You're probably going to object to the premise right off the bat. So just let me get it out.
You're stupid.
Let me get it out. It's based on some data. Sometimes, I mean occasionally, it's rare, Mike gets into fights on the internet. No, just wait.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just wait. Sometimes Jerry might write a comic that could be considered borderline empathically tone deaf. Just wait. Now, to the extent that you guys have these amazing other ventures that you're doing, we think about Child's Play, we think about your PA report, or all these different things, at what level do you worry about, or even you may not, how do you insulate the success that they've become on their own, like they're standalone in certain circumstances, from the fact that what Jerry and Mike do is pretty much a fairly edgy piece of content creation. And what I'm thinking of here is, like, let's take this crazy scenario where a webcomic gets created by Jerry and Mike that's somewhat controversial, and poor Ben can't get an interview with Nintendo about their new Pokemon game because they don't want to be associated with that comic. Not that that's right.
All right. So there's actually two
fantasy scenario.
There's two scenarios here that are very important to make a distinction on. One is the Child's Play one, which is that we very specifically try to distance Child's Play from Penny Arcade in the sense of, you go to Child's Play, there's no like links back to Penny Arcade. Because we understand that most of the places we work with, like hospitals and whatnot, would be horrified, absolutely horrified, if they understood the full extent to all of that.
But you can't. But you can't like draw the big wall, right? It's
no, and I understand that, and it's very difficult. But at the same time, like, we think of Penny Arcade like as the means to drive everything to Child's Play. Like, you have to know, the way that Child's Play is structured is, it is a way that a very profitable
and immensely profitable
company should run a charity in the sense that, like, it's true that, like, Mike, Jerry, and I make a lot of the decisions behind Child's Play and whatnot, but we don't take a cent from it. Like Erica does, like, the designs for, all of the website and whatnot, and, there's no like consulting agreement for that or anything. It's all free. Like, we do everything pro bono. But also keep in mind there are 2 full-time Child's Play employees as well that are Child's Play.
Which are awesome.
They are great, by the way. And so, like, the way that we sort of make that distinction is, again, like, we try to make sure that anyone that hits Child's Play first,
so there is an insulation.
Probably shouldn't know about Penny Arcade, all right? But people understand Penny Arcade, all right, fine. We're still using it as a megaphone to project people.
Well, right, because you don't want to. The last thing anyone in the room wants is to say, Jerry and Mike, tone it down. That's not the point. But
sure.
So there is some. The point is that there is some consideration built around it.
Absolutely. But the second distinction is for all the other pieces of business, let's say like PAX or PA Report. All of those are structured in a way where, keep in mind, Penny Arcade is so successful as a independent and a completely independent media company where there's no outside investors or anything like that. There's no angel funding. Like, it's just all internal, and where we don't actually have to put up with a lot of the shit that anyone else does. For instance, for the PA Report, yes, it is a media outlet, but if the way it's structured, of course, is that we don't really care about, like, the breaking news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at all the long-form stuff that Ben does, it is all based on culture. It's all based on really deep dive research and whatnot, as opposed to trying to get, like, the exclusive on some, AAA title. Like, we don't care about that. And plus, as far as people, like, withholding copies and shit like that, like...
Well, not copies, but access.
Access. Like, PAX, same thing, which is interesting because in a different way, the engine that Penny Arcade has created as far as driving people to PAX and make it successful has all of a sudden, and this is thanks to you guys, like you're all here, like you are the ones that insulate us from exhibitor pressure because you are the value there. We, like no exhibitor is going to be like, oh yeah, well, fuck you, I'm going to pull out a PAX.
Well, no, let's rephrase. Someone might.
Someone might, and it's like,
it would be a poor choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, all right, that's fine. Like, I got an email today, we got an email today that was making us think of booth name policy, for instance. And they're like, I find it very hard to believe that. She's like, one of my reps said that show management made a request to pull these booth names, and I find that very hard to believe.
Wow, lack of research on their part.
And then we were like, no, here's the exhibitor guide, here you go, here's the rules. She was like, all right.
So you mentioned, earlier that you try to keep the different businesses independent of necessity on corporate sponsorship or pressure from corporate sponsorship, which leads me to a question that I've got to ask. Chevy. I'm just throwing it out.
Did you see my tweet this morning?
I did not. I don't read your tweets.
No, it was.
Except if it's Steptoe, you can interview me at PAX.
It was via. It was via chat. I said, "Welcome to the Boston Auto Show, sponsored by PAX."
Well, I'm just breathing. I don't want it to be the Gillette.
I can tell you what ended up happening. Chevy won. I mean, we've had cars at PAX before, like Scion sponsored once. Porsche was there once at Prime, and I mean, what? They had come to us and were like, hey, we're going to skin these, what are they called?
See?
No, Sonics. We're going to skin these Sonics. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so we did a design. Like, KingKool actually did that design that's out in front. And they're like,
I know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, KingKool did that design. And then they're like, we're going to bring a bunch of these to the show. Which apparently translated, we're going to bring one. And then fucking fill the rest of the goddamn place with, Mustangs and shit. And it's like, what is happening? And so,
Mustangs.
And so,
somebody help me out. I'm trying to be a polite interviewer.
hey, look.
Now Chevy's going, oh, mistake.
They bring a Volt. I don't know. There's some technology in there, but no, look. And ultimately, this is our fault. We didn't look at the contract close enough. Their word versus what is in a contract. Literally, we're like, this is ridiculous. And they're like, well, what are our contracts? Oh, fuck. And so, going forward,
which is a lot. Something you deal with all the time.
It's absolutely our fault, and I'll take blame for that. And I'm sorry.
Well, to be fair, I haven't heard complaints. I've heard a whole lot of, huh?
I've heard a lot of jokes about it, and that is a complaint enough.
Probably based off your Mustang comment. You might hear some more.
Whatever.
Just throwing it out there. Okay, so moving to another topic. I think it's safe to say, probably given how many people are familiar with the webcomic, that we've all seen the Penny Arcade TV episodes regarding the Penny Arcade interview process.
All right.
Just to be clear, and I want to be upfront, I'm not sure I could ever pass that particular process. My ping pong milkshake does not bring anyone to the yard.
All right.
Just to throw that out there. But it strikes me that you have a fairly large voice in that process. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the point I'm trying to get is...
These are all Penny Arcade employees.
I know. Oh, I'm trying to... Yeah.
All right.
Hey, you left Microsoft recently. Tell me about that. I'm just saying, you're in charge of some stuff, So how responsible, if any level, really do you feel is your position in sort of managing, maintaining, or otherwise, creating the culture of the employees of Penny Arcade? I think I got an answer. I think we can move on to the next question.
So
Dad was the quote from the front, by the way.
Here's what's, this is really hard to say. this is gonna make, I think, everyone but probably like 10 people in this room feel bad, but like what you see on PATV, like as far as like how well we get along and how we treat each other and how it's like a family, like that isn't a joke. Like that's not, there's no staging there. And it's insane how well we get along with each other. And as far as trying to develop,
I think there's some weeping from the front.
Jeff's crying.
Wow, he is. He's tearing up.
Sorry, Jeff. We'll hug it out later.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, when I watch that process,
yeah.
What I see is the almost, God, there's no better way to put it. It's almost like a forging process.
Well, absolutely. Like,
man, I am really like. This is my Dick Cavett interview skills that you're seeing right here.
You're just thinking about your kids. You miss them. Imagine Ethan right now. He's like, Dad, what time is it? Give me a story.
Everyone who's seen the what I would like to say the reserved and yet evil section of Robert Khoo in those PATV interview presses, the one where he's like, I just don't know. I just don't know if you're right for us. That's the other side.
And there were, I mean, again, like those episodes can only be, 10, 12 minutes. And
oh, it's worse, you're saying. There's days of torture.
There are horrible parts of the interview that just don't get shown, like, to the point, because, like, there are things, like, where we won't show...
Again, I'm hearing weeping.
Because we don't want to, like, ruin people's lives. Like, literally, like, we're not out there to make...
Well, publicly.
Sure. But like I was saying, like, that interview process is very much, like you said, it's a forging. It is very much trying to make sure that you fit in the family. And it's something that, it shuts down Penny Arcade for a full week. Like, we are all interviewing for 15 hours a day. Like, it's insane. Like, we're right from the beginning, all the way up to, like, we go out to dinner, everyone's families meet everyone, we go out bowling, we'll go see a movie.
I suck at bowling, too, by the way.
So do I.
Just throwing it out there.
And it's very much, everyone needs to sign off. Every single person needs to get a green light. If there's some person that says no, we will start the process over.
Was that process sort of a decision by you, Mike, and Jerry that we're going to do this process to try and forge a family, which is a great process. But was it a conscious decision or was it organic that it just grew out of like the first couple of times you did it?
I would say that Mike and Jerry never want to hire anyone. Like fundamentally, like and I have the same feeling. Like they don't want to disrupt things. They're like, no.
Is that a conservative viewpoint that it's you're reticent to bring on new resources for new tasks, or is it more like the family aspect? Like you don't want to bring in new family members?
Mine is the family aspect. Theirs is their reluctance for change. I mean, it's well known that, and especially very early on, they had like very, very heavy anxiety issues, and the idea of changing the environment, and not only changing the environment, but also how that affects the creative process, which affects the comic, which affects their livelihood.
It's a huge risk.
Yeah, and for them, they're like, don't hire anybody. I'm like, well, we need to, and that's why essentially that process was developed.
Right.
Like I sat down and was like, how do we make this
the most rigorous process possible?
Yeah, I mean, how do we not screw this up? Because I mean, there have been instances where we didn't go through that process and it didn't work so well, and it was horrible. It was horrible for everyone, and so we want to minimize those types of experiences.
It's a fascinating interview process for me because I think that as a result of the Penny Arcade TV episodes, it really reveals how small businesses can really forge, again, that family. It's one of the things that I found really fascinating.
Yeah, and ask like horribly illegal questions and do just awful things that I'm sure.
I thought about asking you your favorite dirty joke, but that didn't have anything to do with the business Penny Arcade. So, so kind of like best case scenario, like assuming the growth plan you're thinking of, and in general terms, like how many employees do you think you would add, say, in the next 5 years? Assuming, again, just like what your current thoughts are, and again, being conservative.
How many times have I said, I'm looking at my team here, how many times have I said we're done?
Every year.
Every year.
So let's see, since you've said that, I count. So we're thinking about, you know, what, 8?
And keep in mind that, I've said it every year, and keep in mind, Jeff was number 6. And I, again, like I have the same, like you said, the reservation is about not messing with
Right.
the family. Because if one person comes in and disrupts the mojo, I mean, that's not great for anybody.
No.
But as far as like the expansion, I think we are going to hire one. I only have one other hire in my mind, and it's
Sexual.
You gotta go now. Only this crowd would do that. Finally, I stumped him.
I'll say that again. I've got one hire, but it is not going to be anytime in the near future. It'll probably be next year.
Look for another episode of Penny Arcade. So, speaking of expansion, let's talk about PAX expansion.
All right.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this whole Boston experiment, it feels kind of meh.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what are you guys bigger than Prime now? But that's not right.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's no, sarcastically speaking, it's been a huge success. So what factors go into whether you guys like? What do you think about when you think about, like, for instance, what did you think about when you knew you wanted to do PAX East? Like, what triggered that? And secondarily to that, you know, what makes you think about other regions?
all right. East was. Those are different answers. So East
Fair enough.
was. Well, there's actually one more piece of these answers, which is that I don't think that a show scales past 100,000 people. I think anything that approaches that size not only fucks with things logistically, but culturally it screws things up. I mean,
It's hard to have a tight community of 100,000 people.
well, I mean,
Like localized in one place.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess it's kind of silly to say that as opposed to what we have now. But I think that having like the panels that we have is, and satisfying the audience is much more difficult, and it makes us make decisions that are more about crowd control, more about dealing with those issues of scalability than what is important for all of you. And when we were, you know, probably at 36,000 people at Prime, you know, we had sort of gotten committed to thinking, all right, well, we need to start thinking what we're going to do next, because there's going to be a lot. This is continuing to double in size every year.
Yeah.
You know, how do we?
And Seattle's not a convention town like some places are in the country.
It's true, and you know, how do we not disappoint people where it sells out in? By the end of that, it was selling out. It was selling out like in 30 days or something like that. It was just insane, and you know, we're not. If we can fix that problem, we should. As far as the factors and the consideration that go in, it's really based on what our team can handle, and whether or not it negatively impacts the other shows, whether it negatively impacts any other parts of the business. For future, it is looking at where the underserved markets are, looking at how we can service the customer set and also bring in, you know, cool community portions, cool exhibitor portions, like all that stuff needs to be tied into. And of course, for people that insist on going to every PAX, how do we manage that in terms of in the calendar? It's very tricky.
So, speaking of like the management of the event itself, which is as we've seen from your phone ring here already, sort of a complex, multifaceted event. Like, I was wondering, could you conceive of a situation where a publisher or a vendor, not an individual, could do something so egregious you would invite them to not be at PAX?
Hasn't this happened? Wait a minute, this has happened. This has happened. What? Wait, who?
If it has happened, what did they do?
Mike, what was it? Wait, who was it?
Do we want to? Okay, I mean, I went back up. A conference needs to occur. Pardon me. Ladies and gentlemen, please talk amongst yourselves. Couldn't hear a word of it.
Oh yeah, I can say this. It was last year at Prime. It was at Prime, right? Yeah. Yeah. Cyberpower. Everyone knows Cyberpower? All right. They make cases and shit and accessories, right? PC accessories. Yeah, he was just a real asshole to one of our enforcers, like horribly, like super disrespectful, and we're like, don't come back. Don't come back. Like it was, like it got to the point where it was. I don't think he ever said it. I don't think he ever said it, but I was afraid that we were like going to lose the enforcer, and that's not cool. Like
Really? I mean,
yeah,
they were that much of a jerk?
such assholes.
Wow.
And I remember it was like, all right, let's boot them. Let's.
I don't think anyone in the room is going to be upset that you took that decision to protect an enforcer.
Yeah. But that's like a.
Because they're awesome. I mean, that's probably, I mean, you could argue like a whole bunch of reasons, like, oh, they released some DRM that turned out to be a root kit, or this, and that, but being rude to a PAX enforcer, yeah, boot those guys, get them out of that. Yeah, okay,
We
interesting.
love our enforcers!
Well, and that's the last question I wanted to ask about PAX specifically was, I think what sets the event apart from so many events that I've been to is this consistent structure around the enforcers. That not only do you have this wonderful volunteer force, but they have almost a completely consistent behavior amongst the PAX East or PAX Prime events. Like, you know where they are, you know what colors they're wearing, you know what help they can give you. Did that develop organically? Was that something like you said, you know what sets us apart, you know, what we want to have is this group of people who are super helpful and who help provide structure. So when I think about Comic-Con and things like that, there's a lack of that, right? There's a lack of a...
You know, I think that there's first of all, the enforcers, you have to understand, are the spine of the show. Like, they are sort of like our secret sauce. Without the enforcers, the show would be really shitty. Like, it would be a real turd. And thank God.
Now, don't mince words, man. Say what you really...
For the enforcers. But I think that's something that we have always done and that we will always continue to do is empower them. Like, we trust them so much to do the right thing, to make the right decision. And, you know, 99 times out of 100, they will just not only do the right decision, but just like blow us away with like, oh my God, that's such a great idea, or that's such a great thing you did. Like, you know, I have my utmost faith in them, and you know, again, like I cannot thank them enough for what they do. As far as like whether that was a conscious decision, no, it was lucky. It was. I mean, we recognized it very early on. It was like, oh my God, you're doing these things a lot better than I can be doing it.
So why don't you keep doing it? Exactly. Okay, so my final question before we turn it over to the audience is sort of a convoluted one. So, you know, through an interdimensional mishap, you find yourself trapped inside of one of Jerry's most graphic and detailed erotic fantasies. Although rescued weeks later, your mind is irrevocably broken. Your successor enters your office and finds on your desk a single envelope containing a letter written by you, filled with advice for your successor because deep down you kind of always do eventually through an interdimensional mishap. Be trapped in one of Jerry's fantasies.
I'm gonna ruin your question. I was letting you know.
What does the letter say?
There is a letter.
I know there is. There has to be. There has to be.
There's literally.
What these guys want to know what's in it.
Like there is literally a on our internal link. There's a link that just says. It says what to. It says
They're all excited. Like they're leaning for like this question we can answer.
The wiki page literally is called "What to Do If Robert Dies."
No, wait. No. The question's slightly different than that. There's a process piece, which is what to do if Robert dies. Then there's an advice piece, a more philosophical, if you will. How to run the future of the... They're so excited that they are so well briefed on this question that avenge his death is apparently a really exciting thing for them. Because they're like, man, do we have plans? One of them involves a trebuchet? I see, all right. But the question is more about, like, what would be the guidance? Like, what would be, like, the 5-year plan or the 5-year suggestion? Knowing that this successor would probably do their own thing, what would be the more future vision?
It wouldn't be a vision. It's not like, oh yeah, look at these grand plans and whatnot. It would be a philosophy. It would be, in short, to continue to essentially respect and create value for that core set. And if you can't do that, quit. Like literally, put the company down. And literally, it's like take all the money that's in the bank or whatever and split it across everyone and quit. Because it's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. Like there are plenty of other places that I could be working for far more money than I'm making now. And
well, not according to you.
But what we do each and every day is so remarkable to me because I've been doing this for 10 years and I think I've taken probably 4 or 5 days off. And it's not because I'm a hard worker or anything like that. It is more to do with the fact that I love what we do and I love what we make and I love what we're able to provide to everybody. And if we can't do that, then eventually all of your jobs will suck. All right? You all
not all of you. He's just pointing to these front two rows.
Are you all crying?
I don't know. Crying. You guys. I don't know if I can think of a better answer that sort of embodies why there are currently well over 900 people in this room, and well over tens of thousands of people who are at PAX. Because I think that at the end of the day is why we love what Jerry and Mike do, we love what you guys do, and I think that's a perfect coda to the interview. And at this point, I think that's worth just some applause in general. Now, we wanted to make sure that we left enough time for you guys to have questions. Cruel comments he can make. I've been at the front of them.
All right. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. There's only one mic, right? All right, I guess it's yours.
Hi. I've heard your advice for creatives, and I've heard your advice for business people. But for people working on smaller projects, or freelancers, people who have to balance both of those things themselves, what is your advice for them?
I can't hear. I'm sorry. Hold on. Can you turn that up a little bit? I'm sorry. I heard the.
Hello?
Hi. You've heard advice about business and creatives.
I said I've heard your advice for artists and creatives, and I've heard it for business people. But for people who are freelancers or working on smaller projects who have to do both of those, what's your advice for them to like balance that?
So Scott Kurtz and Levin said that Levin is Erica's husband. They both sublet space out of the Penn offices, so I get to see this a lot. And quite frankly, it's fucking really hard. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't have the mind for creativity. Like, I'm creative in like business aspects, but like I'm good at business. That's my thing. I look at Excel sheets. I move numbers, copy and paste. But like to be able to do both and manage it is very, very challenging. And I think that the same advice that I give to like business guys and anyone in general is that, I mean, yeah, you just have to, you really have to work hard at it. And I know this sounds so stupid, but you essentially have to give up a big part of your life. Like if you really want to succeed, and I tell this people a lot, if you like really, really want to succeed, you're gonna have to give up a big part of your life, and more times than not, it's your social life. Like you are gonna be a broken person if you want to really succeed. Like absolutely, like everyone like in American knows that I'm kind of screwed up in that sense because like, sorry. I'm kind of screwed up in that sense. But the fact is that that's the price I've had to pay. And I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Robert. I have both a question and a gift, a tribute, if you will.
Okay.
I'll ask the question first. My question is, what venture have you embarked on as Penny Arcade that has been the least successful, and what have you learned from it?
It would be Greenhouse.
I was thinking that might be it. So.
Greenhouse was our independent video game distribution platform, essentially. And, you know, it was a different time. Like, trying to compete with Steam these days is, you don't do it. It's stupid. That's why would you do it? But like, back then, it was less of a concrete answer and less of a sure thing. And in short, we wanted to be able to control that process a little bit better when we released episodes 1 and 2. And, we gave it a shot, but ultimately, like, if I had, we still run Greenhouse DRM servers, for instance, even though we've shut down the service. We want to make sure it's up and running. I mean, in retrospect, yeah, we would have gone through Steam exclusively. But yeah, Greenhouse, without a doubt.
Thanks.
Oh, gift. Tribute, I mean. I'm sorry, what do we have? Oh! Sweet, a challenge coin, the forum challenge coin. Thank you. Appreciate it. You took off your hat, like it's very respectful. All right.
Oh, yeah. I wear the hat like this at cons so my friends can find me because there's not a lot of blaze orange hats.
All right, what's up?
First of all, I just want to say that thank you both so much for your time. I know that I and probably everyone in here really appreciate it. This question is for you. What should my next step be to continue moving towards a world where I'm working closely with you?
You guys want to know what I look for in the initial round? So when we, first of all, in order to find the job application in the first place, you should probably read Penny Arcade. You should probably follow my Twitter and whatnot, or follow the Megacorp or anything like that to get access to the application. Once that happens, I can tell you that the things that we look for, this kind of sucks because we have 1,000 people apply in a week, and we open up for a week and we close it down. And within that 1,000, we know that there's plenty of people that could be very, very qualified for the position. There's probably plenty of people that could be a good fit internal to Penny Arcade. But we have the luxury of being able to pick and choose, which means even the stupidest thing on your resume or on your application or on your cover letter we're gonna get you out. If you have a formatting issue on your resume, I don't want to look at it. I'll just throw it away. If you have a spelling issue, if you have a spelling error, if you don't capitalize a sentence, I'll throw it away. It's ridiculous. But the fact is that I need to get from 1,000 to 1 somehow. And I know this feels unfair, and I apologize. But I have to whittle it down, and those are like even just make sure everything you have is perfect. And also, whatever you say online is online forever. Just know that. Okay? And also, if you ever lie on a resume, I'm gonna find out. Okay? I promise you, I will find out.
Yeah. So I've got a bit of a career behind me in a few different places, and so I've been involved in hiring in small companies and huge companies, and very careful about making sure that everything I say is true, with low latency and things that I would stand behind every time I revisit them. So what's the next step I should take?
Your next step would be to apply for the next job and say, I'm the guy that asked for the next step in your company.
Good. Thank you very much.
First of all, Robert, thanks for doing this. I think it's really great to get a chance to hear from you and hear a bit more from you. I guess I have a little bit of a serious question. I think as somebody who works a lot, who works a ton, I'm in law school right now and eventually going to be a lawyer, I've often found it hard to maintain that work-life balance, and especially maintaining relationships with people you care about outside of work, whether that's friendships or whether that's romantic relationships. And how do you either maintain those things when you're clearly so passionate about your work, and that takes up so much of your time, or if you kind of jettison those things, how do you maintain some sort of balance in your life so that you actually don't, just flip over and go into some sort of like no existence?
I have no work-life balance. And the way that I've managed that is to essentially create my social life within Penny Arcade. And yes, it's true, I don't get to go have beers with my friends from business school, but I do get to hang out with all my friends at Penny Arcade all day. So it's not so bad. On one hand, I have a horrible work-life balance, but on the other, hey, I kind of do. But again, it's a unique situation. I'm sorry that doesn't apply to anyone except me.
So is that form, do you have a family life as well, or is it...
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you have a family life as well, or...
Do I have a family life?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're asking. I'm sorry.
Do you have a family? I guess that's why I'm asking
Do
you.
I have a family?
Yeah. Yes, I know the whole Penny Arcade has family thing, and I get that, but or is that just a part of your life that you said, Penny Arcade really is my family, and...
Penny Arcade really is my family.
Okay.
Penny Arcade really is my family.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Mike and Jerry have made it pretty clear, Robert, that they rely on you a lot.
Sure.
My question is, has there been a time where one or both of them got kind of impulsive, came to you and said, hey, I had this idea for a new project or a new venture, and this is what I want to do. You'll make it happen, right? Cool, thanks, I'll see you later. And you're just left going, what the fuck have they gotten me into now?
Yeah, literally that is how PAX started. My job is to advise. My job is to give them what I feel is the best possible information before making a decision. And quite frankly, if they want to do something, if they want to be hey, you know what? I want, a Penny Arcade branded candy bar. And I'm that's the stupidest idea ever. You have to think about the perishability of it. You have to think about, where we're going to source the cocoa and the shit like that. And do we go partnership? And then I'll be no, I vote no. And they're and they both look at me yes. And I'm all right. I will then talk to Brian about sourcing the cocoa. I'll talk to Aaron about the website. I'll talk to KingKool about doing the packaging. It's just all in motion at that point, and I can't stop it.
All right, thanks a lot.
No problem.
So I'm sure you would disagree, but there hasn't really been so many incredible financial flops for Penny Arcade. So I was curious as to what your high-level process was to make sure that something wasn't incredibly financially ruinous, and to flesh out an idea.
I mean, it really depends. Like, we look at like we do like market studies. We do depending on what it is. It really depends on the product or service that we're trying to or market that we're breaking into. I mean, we try to see what the viability financially is. It's essentially doing a business plan like I had done for Mike and Jerry for every single component or part of the business. I mean, whether that's PAX and whatnot. I mean, let's walk through it for PAX, for instance. I would look at, all right, how many people are in Seattle? How many people do I think would travel to this thing? Can we get vendors? How much? What do the expenses look like? What do venues look like? What does catering look like? What does electrical, internet? What does trying to hire security staff look like? What about merchandise? What do those sales look like? And at the end of the day, is this worth our time or not? Yes, no, and then Mike and Jerry say do it anyway.
So like serious feasibility studies for each product, basically.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So like serious feasibility project.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
When I say I give the best, I try to advise Mike and Jerry. I'll do all that for them on anything that they want.
And will they actually read it?
I'm sorry, what?
If you make a feasibility study, would they actually read it?
Yeah, no, I don't. No. I must go into their office and tell them. They don't read emails. They don't read. Yeah, no. Absolutely not.
Okay, sorry. Thanks.
Yes.
Hey, I have a question and a request.
Okay.
Okay. The question is, obviously their qualities are important for every employee. Like they're hardworking, they're trustworthy. What abilities do you find interesting or intriguing in Art is Obvious?
I'm sorry, my phone is like seriously blowing up right now. I could not hear a thing.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
It's not important? Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So obviously there are qualities that are important in every employee. Like they're hardworking and they're trustworthy. What abilities do you think are interesting in Art is Obvious?
What ability do I think? I think my speaker is like old or something. I'm sorry. Oh, qualities that I'm looking for that are interesting but not as obvious. Oh, wow. You've got to have really thick skin. You got to have really thick skin. I mean, I'm not the easiest person to work with. I'll be honest with you. I'm very much I'm a horrible micromanager, okay? Other than the fact that I don't have time to do it. That's what pretty much the saving grace of everyone's lives in Penny Arcade are. And if you have, you need to have really thick skin because I'm horribly honest a lot of times. And, I think that's really important because, and it's not because I'm trying to be mean, but it's because I've got other shit to do, essentially. So, there you go.
And my request is if you would be so kind, would you mind signing my badge?
Yeah, come find me after this panel. I promise I'll be here.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you.
No problem.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, we've heard the story about the lunch where you met Mike and Jerry and kind of how you presented the business case. My question is, I've always heard the story to end with, and I promised them that I would work for free for 2 months, and if they could pay me, then great. But I've never heard how you managed to do that. So how the hell did you get yourself paid in the first 2 months? And what projects did you start with?
The first, I can tell you, there's a lot of parts of the story that no one knows, and I'll tell them right now. Exactly. So, man, I remember it was about 40 days into my 60 days, and I had, I'm sorry, let me take a step back. The first thing I did was I said, give me every card you have ever collected at an E3 from a fan, whatever, just give it to me. And I just started cold calling and cold emailing every single person. Just every day. And because essentially I wanted to focus on the advertising side because the infrastructure was there, the page views were there, the audience was there, very easy to monetize. And God, I was getting doors just slammed in my face. And I think it was 40 days in, I woke up and I sat there paralyzed, staring at the ceiling. Like, what the fuck did I just do? I've been working my ass off for 40 days, like eating ramen, doing nothing. And it's like nothing's happening. And I sat there, I think, for 5 hours in bed, just staring at the ceiling. To which I finally was like, all right. I was like, all right, fine, let's keep doing it. And I would say about a week later, I actually ended up signing a deal with Microsoft not through this guy. The first campaign I booked was Microsoft. Awesome. So that was a super fun game too. I really liked it. But yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hey, so I'm going to start by flattering you, and then I'm going to make a request.
All right.
You do amazing work. I doubt I could even get this room full, like with the people doing sound and recording things and the enforcers getting people with their seats and everything all nice and organized. I could probably do everything, but then I'd forget to tell anyone to show up, so it would be so removed. Let alone do all of PAX, like you helped set up. So the flattery is amazing. You're just godlike.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it.
And the request, can I have a hug from you?
Find me after. I'll sign whatever you want, all right? Let's do it after the panel.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I have a question and a thank you. So I'll start with the question.
All right.
You've indicated already that Jerry and Mike, really come up to you with these wild, crazy ideas, and you make them happen, and make sure the money is there, and it can go forward. Has there ever been any Penny Arcade process or project here where you've kind of gone to them and, hey, we need to do this. This is a great idea. Where it's kind of been the opposite way forward. You're bringing the idea forward, or someone else has brought the idea to you, and you're getting Mike and Jerry to sign off on that.
So I'm sorry. So let me just clarify. I just want to restate. So.
Sure.
An idea that I come up with that they shoot down, or
no, that you brought to them that came out and became a Penny Arcade project.
Oh, so a successful project that came through that experience?
Yes.
That we all agreed on.
That was sourced from
that
you.
I brought.
Yes.
The PA report was something that I brought.
Awesome.
I thought, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the PA report.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The PA report actually first was conceived about 5 years ago when we were thinking about doing, we're like, all right, well, what about media coverage? I mean, we could do it in a really different way, and there was a small site that we were thinking of partnering with, and then it just sort of fell flat. Like the deal just didn't seem to make sense. Fast forward 2 years, and the Jeff Gerstmann shit happens over a game. Spot. I've been in this industry for 10 years, and I still cannot distinguish the two. What is their problem? Why doesn't one just sue each other and just get it all over with?
Because lawyers are expensive.
I'm sure all you have real things. They had a real problem with money. Well, not to sue everyone. See, yes. And the Gerstmann thing happened, and I actually reached out to Jeff right after it happened, and I was like, hey, if you want to do something together, let me know, because we might be interested in doing something, and we're really cagey with it, and I think that we were too cagey, because he's never brought it up to me ever since. I do not know if he even remembers us even having the conversation or not, but it was literally the week after it happened, and that didn't materialize, and then this third go-around finally stuck, and we're super pumped about it. Like we really. Does everyone like the PA report? Is it okay so far?
It's been pretty awesome. Thank you.
All right, part two.
All right, the part two was just thank you on my part. As an attorney in a big law firm right now, and when I say attorney, I mean very bottom level attorney right now, it's been very inspiring because have your story heard or understand that, it's really possible for a kind of a white-collar worker to make it out there and, achieve their dreams outside of the traditional model of big law and big business. And I want to thank you for that inspiration.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. So kind.
Too short, that's fine. Robert,
Hi.
I have a question for you. It's more related to the PAX events, really, than anything else. I am very intimately related to another event that happens in the Midwest in August. It's a little smaller, it's a little older. It's called QuakeCon. Some of you might have heard of it in this room.
QuakeCon, all right.
I'm sort of curious as to how you made a point from a small sort of volunteer event into, oh my God, we have 60,000 people in 2 coasts.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking for Bethesda, I'm not speaking for id when I say or ask any of these questions. I want to make that very clear.
All right.
Very clear.
Okay.
When does the point between pulling people in for an event and making it, and here's the, we don't charge for QuakeCon, it's free. Like, you can come to Dallas and show up and welcome to our very large land. But there's very much a price tag associated with attending PAX, and there's sponsors, and there's something, you pay for the badge, and now we can present sponsors with a number of how many people are attending the event, which changes the way that they put money into the event. Where was the growth spurt? Like, I'm sort of curious in how the evolution went from like, we're kind of cool with under 10 grand people to like, oh my God, we have a lot of people.
I think that something that we honed in on right from the very start, and it was very intentional, and it had I would say the biggest part to do with our success, and to answer your question, which is that everything that we do here isn't about a company or isn't
about marketing.
What? I'm sorry.
It's not about marketing.
Yeah, it's not about like a particular game. It's not about a company. It's not about a site. I mean, quite frankly, it's very little to do with Penny Arcade at this point. It is everything to do with the culture. It has everything to do with the community. It has to do with those sort of shared experiences that everyone has online, and bring them in a really cool, safe environment that everyone can share together and experience together. And I think that when you look at that as the focus of the show, as opposed to it is a land or it is whatever. I mean, like, we have a land, right? But it can...
We have a much bigger land. We drop a medium-sized Fortune 500 company for the weekend. It's really impressive. It's this kind of disgusting to watch it wrapped up in a day.
Is there anything else?
There's like 7 miles of cable. It's kind of sad. But no, it's this event pales in comparison to anything I've ever seen.
But again, like, it's really about the focus on the culture. It's really about the focus on the people and like the celebration of games, as opposed to, hey, we're
one particular. Yeah.
And that's it. So I hope that answers your question.
I have a part too. Is like, when did you realize that the event was like, oh wow, it's not just like this little thing we're gonna get together.
The first year when 35 or like 3,700 people showed up.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks.
I'm short too. I'm with Cookie Brigade, and I have a
Hello.
Cookie Brigade related question. I'm not sure that this is something you'll want to answer in such a public forum, depending on which way this goes.
Why would you phrase this so? All right, fine.
You know that Cookie Brigade has had issues distributing in the past. In fact, last year I was in the middle of getting kicked out when you found me and stopped me and called the security and told them, no, these guys can't distribute. So I'm wondering what that means for us this year and going forward. Are we still allowed to be in the open now?
or are we still sort of underground? Or somewhere in the
All right, I'm
middle?
going to give everyone the DL on this, which is that, so every venue has an exclusive food and beverage vendor, all right? In PAX Prime and a lot of venues, it's a company called Aeromar. I mean, I'm sure you may have seen that, like the Red Star. All right? Here it is a company called Levy Restaurants. They do things like, they set up all the kiosks, they work with the vendors in the back, they're the ones that charge you $3.50 for a soda. They are. And, we don't see, keep in mind, like, there's no, like, profit sharing or anything like that. I would love to give that stuff away for affordable, but it was up to me. And it's actually against regulations to use any other food vendor. Which is why we're not having this conversation.
That's pretty much what I expected. May we not continue this conversation later, more privately?
But that said, I think our philosophy at the time is we always like to talk about it at the closing ceremonies.
Yes.
The idea is that they'll forget about it, because like, it's the very last thing we do, and maybe they won't like get mad at us. And we've only had one issue in Prime with the vendor, which we dealt with. Don't worry about it. And I'm sure it'll be fine. If you have any problems, all right, just let me know.
You got it.
And I will learn about it for the first time and be shocked. Somehow, while I'm learning about this and shocked in front of the GM of Levy Restaurants, come to the realization that, I don't know, I mean, maybe this isn't such a bad thing. Maybe, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, helping kids, charity, just a bunch of cookies. I mean, they're not really that many cookies, right? I mean, I know there's a lot of money raised, but a lot of that was donations, they overpaid for the cookies. So, it's a wash, so don't worry about it. And plus, think about all the milk that people bought. Yeah, don't worry about it. If you have a problem, let me know.
You got it.
Thanks.
Hi there. I'm tall, unlike the short ones before. I have a superfluous question and an interesting question. The first one is, I think I speak for everyone here. Whenever we see you, you look fucking sharp. Where do you buy your suits? No?
That's too hard.
Andy's turning pink. Okay, that's fine. The other one. Clearly, when it comes to outside business opportunities, all roads lead to Khoo. Which opportunities have come to you that you were really excited about that never came to fruition, that you can actually talk about?
But when you're done, I want to hear about the suits.
What? God, what is coming? I'm really excited about it. Someone did pitch us a Penny Arcade theme park once.
Across the audience, the fruit fucker.
you, I will find out where you buy your suits.
All right, thank you.
Hi. My buddy of mine is getting married in October. I was hoping if you could consult on some bachelor party ideas.
Question I didn't ask is there a book coming? Bachelor party ideas.
So, it depends. I have one ultra idea that I can't pull off myself that I would love to give to you, whoever wants to do it, all right? Which is to actually have the bachelor party in a hollowed out plane as it flies from coast to coast or to Hawaii or something like that. And I'll just leave it at that as far as the rest of it.
All right, cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Robert?
Yes.
So I was also going to ask about the suit, but are we going to get an answer on that?
Hold on for a second. Actually, hold on for a second. So right now it is almost, no wait, hold on. It's 1:40. We close in 20 minutes. So I'd imagine we're not going to get to everyone there. Sorry. But just letting you know, I mean, I'll continue to answer it until we're done. So, I mean, if you want to try and risk it, I guess, it's up to you. It's a risk-reward sort of thing. But okay, sorry. Suits?
Yeah, so the word I was going to use was dapper.
Dapper?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're the only one here, or at least probably one of the few, who wears a suit not in a costume. So I was kind of curious, where you got them. But I'll ask a different question instead.
Okay.
Why? Unless you're going to give us the answer, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Can't give away the secret. So I'm a Boston native, and I was kind of wondering, I heard a story from Mike and Jerry that they went to a thing at MIT or something like that. What was the motivation behind coming from Boston? What was the backstory there?
I'm sorry, what was the motivation going to MIT that day? Or
No, like by actually doing PAX in Boston. Was it because of that?
Okay, so there are a couple of factors for Boston, which is that one, incredible hub in terms of the Eastern Seaboard, like great in terms of travel time, etc. Two, I don't want to say like the game development community or the game publishing community or the game community in Boston is strong. It's more of that game culture. Like I think that it had just such a really great vibe in terms of what games meant to your average Bostonian. That was really cool. And the third thing was honestly, it reminded me a lot of Seattle. Like when we first touched down, I remember like when we were here and we were just walking around the city. It just had just such a great vibe to it. I love Boston, I really do. I think it's really cool. And when we signed that 10-year deal and like we negotiated really hard, I laughed because it was just like, why would we ever move from Boston? Like why? Like they were like, all right, well, what will it take for you to stay in Boston for 10 years? And it's like, well, I don't know, not really much, but that's not what I said. But yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, when I moved out to Seattle, you guys started PAX. When I moved back to Boston, you started it here. So,
all right. Well, where are you moving next? Help me with that.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I'll start off by saying obviously you're very successful and good at what you do, as well as Jerry and Mike are. But what I wanted to say is that you all expressed that this should have never happened. It's too good to be true.
Sure.
So there's us out here who are working like corporate drones who would love to do the same thing, but you took a big risk and there had to have been a checklist where you had to say these things have to be in order for this to ever be successful. So for any of us who are trying to make a venture, what is that checklist that we have to look at before we can actually think that our dream is plausible and not just a dream? Because we're not all going to succeed.
A lot of it does have to do with luck. And there was a huge leap of faith. I mean, both obviously on Mike and Jerry's part, but also on my part. Like, I had done my research as far as what I thought that this could be. Like, and I sat down and I worked on that original business plan for, it had to have been 30 or 40 hours on it. And then by the end of it, I sort of took a step back and looked at it. And I was like, well, I mean, does this actually have a shot of making it, of being successful? And you know, obviously, at the end of the day, I thought it did. But I could never know. I could never be 100%. But at the same time, I would really kick myself if I'd never taken that leap to begin with. I don't know, like, I think that if you can make that leap, you should. Isn't that right?
I would totally agree with that. I mean, having just left Microsoft after 18 years with no real firm plan of what I was going to do other than the things I wanted to do, I think that you can't look at your dream as necessarily unattainable. It's more along the lines of that checklist is going to be different for every person. And I think there are more options available to you right now than there have been at any time in history. The reason I'm here at PAX East, I wasn't going to be here, was the fact that I put up a Kickstarter for the book that I'm working on, and it overfunded at a ridiculous amount. And I think that's an example of saying there's so many opportunities out there that are far beyond the standard, you must do the following things to achieve your dream. And I think that...
So it's kind of like you have one life, nothing venture, nothing gain, put your positive attitude out there and it'll come back.
That's part of it. I mean, it's mostly more along the lines of...
And hard work, obviously.
I think when you look at your opportunities that are in front of you, they're probably, I would say the one part of the checklist is assume there are more than you actually see. And sometimes that's luck where luck comes into play. Because you don't see them immediately, sometimes they arrive. And like I said, I lucked into the fact that there were a lot of people who were interested in the idea that I wanted to do. So I think there's a lot of opportunity now more than ever so.
Well, thank you for that answer. And also on another note, I wasn't aware of the cookie controversy, but I'd like to say that maybe like a kind of cookie speakeasy would work for us. Because you know, the cookies always taste better when you're sneaking them out of the cookie jar.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, like, it's not like the leading restaurant guys have like secret cookie shoppers, and they're like, yeah, it's like cookies come. I mean, can you imagine? It's like this 60-year-old dude with like a gamer t-shirt being like, oh, I would like a cookie.
It's like, open your jacket, I got chocolate chip. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Hi, thank you for answering our questions tonight.
No problem.
I was looking for possibly some advice. Let's say you've got a website that's one or two people that does creative and geek culture content about a couple times a week, and it's been around for 4 or 5 years and has a more than decent following. Like, what might be the next steps in trying to do that full time or monetize it better than just basic advertising and taking like the odd job with like a game company A, B, or C?
Besides really general advice, like it's so difficult. It's so difficult to answer that question because every industry is different, every site's different, every content creator is different. You gotta look at places that are doing well, see what they're doing right. Think about in terms of growth, think of in terms of like what your audience wants. I mean, quite frankly, what it comes down to in content creation is if you get the eyeballs, you can monetize later. You can figure out how to monetize it. I mean, quite frankly, the way that Mike and Jerry worked for a long time before when we have this process of actually collaborating on ideas, is they would create something and that's all they cared about. And my job was to figure out a way to monetize it. So, and I think the number one priority for you is to make sure to create content that people are interested in and to get that interest level up.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Can I give you something?
Sure. And we can answer a question.
Hey, Robert.
What's up, man?
I just wanted to thank you, and I wanted to give you something also that you maybe hopefully will not lose and possibly share with your family.
Wait, what? Actually, no, I'm sorry. This was way cooler than I thought it would be. Wait, hold on. It was really cool. It is a, wait a minute. Wait, so how are you associated with this? We've worked with you before.
Use your words!
You could have introduced yourself as the guy that's... Alright, I'm going to plug him. This guy, it's Chris, and go to qbcraft.com, okay, with 2 E's, so C-U-B-E-E craft.com. He makes incredible papercraft models, and this is a super cool stormtrooper that he makes like from scratch. And he did. I'm not sure if you remember in the first Christmas games, we had Gabe and Tycho ones, and he did them. And so we are actually connected. What are you talking about? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, can I give you something, and can you maybe not lose it, and maybe share it with your family also?
All right. Okay. Thank you for the scotch.
Yeah, I'm feeling cheap for not bringing anything.
It's all right.
Okay, so you spent your first 2 months, you know you have gold with Penny Arcade, and you solidify the fact that you're going to get paid. For the 50-page business plan, what did you really look to develop to grow the company? Like, what was your main focus for that first year? What was your goal for the company?
Well, first of all, there was no guarantee. Sure, I made the first paycheck, all right, but it wasn't like, all right, fantastic, the ball's rolling. It was advertising, because what I did was I isolated the highest margin product and what I thought the clearest form of like from A to B of no money to money, which is we already have people looking at the page. All it is about putting an image there that happens to link somewhere else, and so that's what it was.
Thank you.
No problem. Yes.
My question was about, you've worked for the majority of your career with Penny Arcade, kind of starting from the ground up. I work for a company that's been around for quite some time, but it's really trying to change its culture and to get to that, focus on what you can bring value to the core business that you already work with. The challenge that I've encountered in my professional career is trying to bring people, when you come in with a lot of passion, they sometimes look at it and say, you're fixing what's not broke. Why do you think it adds that much value? What do you think is more important to convincing them? Is it more about trying to find the metric and saying this will be successful, or is it really trying to take that passion that you have and bring it to them to get them into that same mindset of this is something we should be putting our work in because it can bring value to the customer, and like you said, monetize it later?
How big is your company?
About 1,000 employees.
Impossible. Quit, work for someone else. Sorry.
Hello. I have 2 questions, both of them are short. One is for Steptoe. Steptoe, I noticed you've been carrying an iPad around today. What's it like being able to own Apple products now?
I'll answer this very briefly. I never was once pressured at Microsoft to not own an Apple product. I have carried an iPhone for years. I had an iPad 1, 2, and 3. And I've never had a problem. Never was pressured at the company. Never was asked by anyone not to run it. Never was told you shouldn't do it. Not once.
Okay. That's it.
I'm sorry. I wish there was some drama.
I know, I was really hoping for it.
No, second part. All right, thanks.
You run like a significant part of PAX. You run Penny Arcade, and it seems that at almost every interval, you want to kind of expand and further the vision behind Penny Arcade, which is kind of centered in gaming and culture and the community that's centered around that. And my question to you is, what do you find special or unique and amazing about gaming and the culture and the community around it that you find it worth it to, with Mike and Jerry and everyone at Penny Arcade, kind of build an empire centered around all of it?
That's a very easy answer. I mean, you were here today. And here's the thing, it's like, every time that I tell someone about PAX, I really do a piss poor sales job on it, because it's like, yeah, PAX is this, but at the end of this pitch, every time, and like a 30-second elevator pitch, I'm like, well, you kind of have to be there to really experience it. And you have to be here to feel that energy, to feel that vibe that this show brings. Like, I get emails from exhibitors all the time where they go to shows and they have to essentially coerce and force their employees to do the booths and whatnot, and to attend the shows and to do panels and whatnot. But in those same emails, they'll tell me about how PAX, like they have waiting lists where people at the company, they want to interact with the crowd, they want to be here, they really understand that the passion that everyone here brings to the table, and that energy that they're talking about there is absolutely what I feed on. Like what you guys do in terms of your love and your passion for the industry and for the games and for the community and for the culture, I don't see how I could not turn that into something positive, into something that is what you see here. So, yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Wait, hold on. We can get through these questions. I think we can do it, all right? There's only like 8 people left, all right? What? Hey, what? You argue with me? Really?
I have a question for some advice and a sort of internal Penny Arcade question.
Okay.
First question. My wife and I have recently started a webcomic, mostly her, not so much me. I'm just kind of there. What sort of advice would you have for us to start to accumulate a following?
I'm sorry. I missed the key word of this sentence. You started to do what?
A
webcomic.
Yes.
The key advice: do it every day, consistent schedule. That's it.
And I have an internal Penny Arcade question. When issues arise with, say, for example, some sort of aquatic-based marketing organization.
All right.
How is that handled from a PR business perspective after certain other individuals who might be in the creative department get involved?
Honestly, the way the whole ocean marketing thing broke down was that Mike had actually first forwarded the mails to Jerry and I, like laughing. He does it every now and then where he'll try to go what he calls fishing, where he'll just troll. That's how it starts. and he forwarded it, and we're like, that's really funny. And then he kept forwarding, and he's like, oh my god, I think this guy's insane. and we were sort of watching it unfold. And honestly, the only thing that I did was contact Kenneth, who runs all of our IT, and I was like, all right, I'm just giving you a warning that this might blow up. I don't know if it will, so ramp everything up. And that was actually why I was able to get all that server data that I posted later and then did like an AMA on Reddit, because we were there, because we knew that we were like, this could actually happen. Like, let's see what happens when you actually have a viral, have something go viral. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever been able to do that.
I can just see you kind of going,
I thought it was fascinating. There you go. Oh, by the way, okay, I'm going forward and one question per person. Okay.
Simple question, personal recon. I know you were kind of frustrated, I think is what I saw after last year's performance. Have you been working on your golf game at all?
Okay, so we had our inaugural, what he's referring to, so clever, was we had our inaugural Child's Play golf tournament last year, and we were paired with other people, and like all the Penny Arcade people got paired with different people, and my team plays dead last. Okay, so thank you. That's what you wanted from me.
Are we doing it again this year?
What?
Are we doing it again this year?
Yeah, of course. We're doing it again. This year it's going to be the Friday after. Friday, right? It's the Friday after E3 this year, as opposed to before.
Thank you.
Wait. Now, what have you done to improve? Was the question. See, there's answers down here. I don't see a lot of answers up here.
I'm trying to practice, all right? Next.
Hi, Robert. Would it be fair to say that when you started this a decade ago, that you were learning as you went, seeing as you were breaking ground in a lot of areas and growing basically from what wasn't really there and growing a whole new entity? Would it be fair to say that you were learning as you were?
Yeah, I can tell you that I am learning things every day now.
Okay, and that was my second question, so great, thank you.
All right.
Hi, Robert.
Hey.
You get a whole lot of press in the gaming industry. Your Kotaku's top 40 on there somewhere.
I'm very proud.
And I was just wondering, you get all that press, you're well known in the gaming industry. How well known are you just in the bigger business arena for what you pulled off with Penny Arcade?
I'm sorry. I think there's something screw with the speakers.
Yeah. One more time.
How well known are you in the non-video game industry, just like wider business, groups, for what you have done with Penny Arcade?
As far as recognition.
Yeah, a little bit of that plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. I mean, I think that most people think of gaming as a hot industry, like it's hot, and they think of media as media. Like they think of, when they think of media, they think of Viacom, MTV, they think of News Corp, they think of CBS Interactive, they think of that as a media company. And I see every now and then, you'll see press as far as like independent media companies, completely independent media companies, and places that build it from the ground up. And Penny Arcade and I am frequently cited for that sort of thing. So yeah, I get props for it.
Cool, thank you.
No problem.
He's not willing to call him Matt quite yet.
No.
As an avid watcher of the PATV show, I've had one burning question. It's not about the first hire with the joke. Has there ever been any dread repercussions about the hidden Pepsi incident?
Well, I mean, I think it was the special features, wasn't it? The special features of season 2.
Okay.
When Erica hit it in the guitar in my office, it exploded, and that was bad. I also did cut my hand going into the drywall.
That's fair.
When I hit the can. But otherwise, yeah, it's fine. By the way, it's still in Erica's office. She has not rehit it unless she did it the next 2 weeks.
Thank you.
That means I did.
Hi, thanks for doing this panel, by the way. I was curious, when a lot of webcomics start out, they're really t-shirt salesmen and advertisers in pulling in ad revenue in terms of where their money's coming from. Obviously, at this point, Penny Arcade has a lot of other ventures. What's like the high-level breakdown in terms of how much money is coming from where?
I can tell you that a big part of our strategy was diversifying. Like once we were able to, great, because I mean, honestly, if we cut out advertising entirely, we would still survive. It would be much harder. But the idea that we don't have to be reliant on one particular revenue stream is really, really important to us. For instance, let's say, and these are things that only Brian thinks of, which is like, let's say cotton prices skyrocket, all right? All of a sudden our merchandise model just, falls through the floor, and it's like, oh shit, what do we do with that? Or, let's say advertisers try to lean on us for being like, oh, you need to talk better about our games, or we'll pull ads. I mean, then we want the ability to say, okay, that's fine. You know what? That's fine. So, I mean, across the board, I would say that PAX probably accounts for about 15 to 20% of what we do. I think ads is probably like anywhere between 30 and 35, and merch is between 15 and 20 or something like that, and the rest is. And I'm not going to break down a P&L for you. Yeah, I mean, in short, we try to be as diversified as we can, and it's pretty even. Thank you. No problem.
I had a question and another thing, and you said one, so the question was weak and scratch it. Per the suggestion of an enforcer while I was waiting in line, I have prepared a haiku, a Khoo haiku, if you will. Robert Khoo is great. He looking classy as fuck. I heard he likes rice.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Hi. Oh, God. I was actually most curious to know, as you've started doing PATV, has it ever kind of come up to the company that you might actually go into legitimate television? So kind of like a G4 or maybe a Spike television, you know, where they have their legitimate gaming shows that the country can see.
Oh, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, people approach us about it all the time, but I mean, how would we do that? To me, that's like saying, hey, you want to have your comics in EGM? You know? I mean, it's not. They're dead now, so it doesn't matter. But I can say that now. Quite frankly, like we have the distribution model of getting it to our fans, and there's no reason to try and pursue a model that is inherently very anti-creative when we don't need to. We don't need to. I mean, I think, is Bernie still here, by the way? Bernie, he was here. This is so embarrassing. Like every time I'm like, hey, yeah, Mikey, people I know.
You've been talking for almost 10 minutes.
Like, the Red versus Blue guys do a really good job of understanding this, of really taking ownership over all of their content from start to finish. And, you know, we try to do the same thing, and you know, there's no reason to get those other parties involved. The fact is that you watch stuff on your TV, great. Our job, and you know, we're still working on this sort of stuff, is to get our stuff on your TV if that's how you want to watch it. Right now, we found most people don't mind watching 10 to 12-minute videos on the internet, but you know, if we start getting a lot of feedback saying we want to watch on our TV, we'll start pursuing those options, but it won't be through like Spike or anything like that.
What I was actually thinking of is I think Al Gore has something similar where it's like almost like a really short television that airs in smaller blocks. I don't know if you're. I don't think I've ever seen it. So.
Oh, it's Current TV. Okay. Oh, and this is it.
Hi, Robert.
Hi.
I'm an entrepreneur from the Valley, kind of the land of VCs and IPO dreams, and I'm wondering, you know, I heard that you guys kind of haven't taken outside investment, and, you know, have you found a model that scales with capital, and do you guys plan to do so in the future, like 10x, 100x what you're doing? I'm just curious that, you know, from one entrepreneur to another, what your thoughts are on that.
This is a private conversation.
Well, you know, from one entrepreneur to clearly a bunch of aspiring entrepreneurs.
Oh, God. No, I mean, it's, I have a good answer for this question. Yeah, that's what everybody goes for.
He might pull it off.
He's thinking about it.
Ask me the question in a different way.
I mean, the basic question is this. You're at a point in your life, and you've got this really fantastic business and brand. And, you know, do you want to take it to the next level? Or not? I mean, that's basically the question, right? I mean, you know, do you want to compete with, like, kind of the larger media companies out there? Because,
all right, so that's
basically it.
Fundamentally, yeah. I don't see Penny Arcade as a business. I see Penny Arcade as, I don't see it as a job. I think of Penny Arcade as a business simulator. SimCity, right? This is dead serious. When you look at SimCity, you are managing inputs, you're maximizing outputs while tweaking little levels, all right? And that's not to say that's dumb or anything. I think it's, trust me, I'm a fanatic of those types of games. And there's a reason why I don't play them. It's because it will ruin my life. But like with Penny Arcade, it's managing the inputs while maximizing outputs, and trying to minimize expenses and trying to essentially deal with, like in The Sims, if a person pees on the floor, if Mike pees on the floor. I mean, these are the type of things where I have to deal with like on a daily basis. So, as far as like, for me personally, to answer your question, it's a lot about like achieving that high score, and I don't think money is the metric that's my score. Like it's something very, very different, and it's something very, very intangible. But a lot of it is personal satisfaction. Like a lot of it is being at peace with both. And this is going to sound very zen, but it's a lot of it is being at peace with both yourself, but also with what you do. Like I could never do something that I wasn't 100% behind. It would eat me up inside. So that's how we judge whether or not we're going to expand anything.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to a PAX SF.
So, number one, thank you guys so much for all the awesome questions and the attention and the time. One last very quick question. No, it's not that. You want to do this again in PAX Pro? Yes.
How many people here actually going? How many people are going to PAX Pro?
Let me ask you again. You want to do this in PAX Pro? That's a pretty sizable response.
It depends, because keep in mind, like this panel has been requested a lot, and over the years, and I was never able to do it. But we've gotten things pretty buttoned up here, where I feel comfortable with taking an hour or two off to try and do it without, because knowing that the team out there right now, like Dave and KingKool and Ryan, even though he's new, he's sitting right there. What? Nice, real nice. He's doing that. They can put out the fires. Everyone can do that except Ryan. So no, and if planning goes well for next year, fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I'll make that. I would love to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Khoo.